Does he
Beep.
Me, I'm totally never there.
Right, ladies and gents, thanks for coming again for, not quite sure how many of these we've had now, I don't know.
I was actually thinking that earlier, but
We didn't have one in July, but I think probably 4, maybe 5, I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, I sent out to the members of the committee the emails that we've had since the last one, and I'll give a one line on each before any discuss. And then the main thing I want to start off with is a communication that we had from Paul Stancard about what the board are doing about some of the issues that we raised last time. So, so the new emails we had from since the last meeting, in no particular order. I think they're in chronological order, but that doesn't necessarily mean logical order. So, boys urinals, he says, this is from Martin, who brought up the thing in the first place. Sorry, I forgot the feedback from the Oldham game, but the only points I would have made seem to have been addressed for yesterday's game. He's put stool is now fixed. When you're talking about toilets, I'm not quite sure if that's the right phrase to use. It previously wasn't there before, and there was no signage at the Oldham game, but that's been rectified, so we must put a sign up or something.
Well, if anyone wants to see what it looks like.
Yes, I know, I would like to see what it looks like.
Effectively, I thought it was a concrete block, but what it was, it's a plastic stand-on stool that's been screwed into the floor, so,
Oh, right.
and it's in the best place that you can't fall over it in each.
Oh, that's
And is it in each men's
no,
toilet?
they're
or
trying it
just
out
one?
and everything like that.
yeah,
When we see the feedback, we'll see.
Yeah.
That's good.
that's a simple fix.
Yeah, as long as-
fix,
So
isn't
it's
it?
actually
So,
simpler than doing the concrete.
Yeah.
yeah.
Looks like a stool.
Yeah.
We'll get Pete to come and show the camera as well.
I want to get off the subject of stools. The next email is, can anything be done about the pigeon mess on the terracing steps? There are large deposits on the steps. I see E4,
Yeah.
P112, are there any key standers?
Yeah, it's shocking. Yeah.
It's shocking, is it? Because in the West Stand, it's normally
Well, I
all right.
wrote in show.
Yeah.
I speak to them at half time.
Because in the West Stand, it's not too bad. Yeah, and I often see people cleaning it there. But it may be that they perhaps obviously don't do the East Stand much because it's, well.
To be honest, there is a cleaning program on the day of each match where they go around and clean everything they can find. You know, occasionally, just they used to miss a bit beyond the press box, so,
Yeah.
further on.
Yeah.
It was on the poles there. It should all be taken up before every match, because if you do it any earlier than that, overnight, then
Yeah.
what are they do? Yeah.
So if it's somebody's down, is it normally quite bad every week?
No, not always. No.
So it sounds
I've seen it, but I don't.
So it sounds like it's occasionally if there's a person down and you don't do
Yeah,
it.
I can't
Sounds like that, doesn't it?
I can't think which match it was that I saw it, and it's going to say there was no way that had been cleaned on day.
And,
You need some industrial equipment, really.
Yeah, and Andy, who makes the point, said, I'm sure we've had birds of prey before performing the task and they'll be rigid. I think we had a hawk called Wilfred who was useless. I think the pigeons used to chase Wilfred, if I remember. I don't think it worked well, did it?
Well,
Right in the early days, but it didn't work. Did
there's
it?
a contract with exterminators that includes hawks, includes shooting. I don't know whether they poison, they did at one time. It's a constant battle. There's been a suggestion, I think, from Howard that in some German ones, they just put the sounds of birds out and that scares them off.
Yeah.
I've not heard that being done, but effectively, because, I don't know, people may have been for events, you just look out and there's a bloke walking around with a rifle. You're thinking, that's terrorism.
Yeah. Well, well, I know with rats and everything, and I know we've got a few rats over in Memorial Yard from time to time. There is a sound thing that I don't think people can hear, but it bothers the rats. So there's probably, if you play sounds of a golden eagle equivalent or whatever, it might bother.
It doesn't bother them too much, because the last meeting, I remember sitting here watching
Yeah.
2 rats
Yeah.
Yeah,
running
I know.
across the other side.
Well, the thing is, if we play Bird Sounds too, the pigeons will just write in and say, well, we can't hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't hear it? Was it on? Well, again, with the response from Paul, a lot of things will be covered in global fan. Ian has sort of said, can somebody please ask why the exit gates in the northwest corner are kept locked, stroke closed, and barriers are held at the ends of the stands, funneling fans down the tunnel. This makes exiting the ground the final whistle a slow, lower, laborious process. Of course, we get massive crowds, which we've not generally had before. But there's been a few about exit gates not being open. I don't know if you know anything
If
particular about it.
the north stands for aways, then they keep that as a sterile area.
Yeah,
It depends on all the rates.
It doesn't say
It
what
wasn't
game this was, so it could have
last
been the
game,
Oldham then.
no, I think they said not about, didn't they say not about the,
Not on this one. Doesn't say what game it is.
Certainly the East Stand one was open for the last game.
Yeah, which was the original
Yeah.
report, wasn't it? So yeah, so it's a northwest corner. So it doesn't say it wasn't the Oldham game.
It sounds like the Oldham game then, because it was Hartlepool game.
well, it's
No,
never,
it
they're
was-
never
I
open,
can
it wasn't
un-
Hartlepool, Hartlepool's never open.
I apologise.
It's never open.
I apologise, Mark, because it does say I can understand if away fans are in
Yeah.
the north stand, but only once has that happened this season, and the
Yeah.
exit gates have not been used.
But
For
North,
any
North
game.
One wasn't in use, was it? So that's probably a thought.
And then he made a comment. I did question with one of the senior stewards in that area, and then he
W7s.
described somebody who appears to be related to Attila the Hun.
I know exactly who they mean.
And was told in no uncertain terms, they're not open because they're not. So that might be a little bit of the training issue. Yeah. I'll not read. the
I've never ever
description, but it's-
seen the
I mean-
northwest
From a
gate
calculation,
open.
so from a calculation point of view, they don't have to be open because there's enough in the internal ones.
Yeah.
but
The only
there's
thing
no
I
reason
can
why-
think
Oh,
of
yeah,
is
4,000
that
is not a problem.
the ambulance is parked straight outside that gate, and maybe that's,
And then coming in rather than going out, Dimitri's sort of said, train chaos caused me to miss kickoff on Saturday. Is there any reason why all the turnstiles were locked? Despite being automatic, it took me a good 5-10 minutes to find someone at the station to let me in, having already missed 30 minutes. I'm surprised that they are locked before half time.
After kickoff.
After kickoff, yeah.
I don't know what time they're locked, but at some point they certainly are, and I've facilitated entry via the main entrance in the past. Walk people through to the appropriate areas.
Back in the Saltergate, proper old turnstiles, man on the gate.
Yeah.
It was used to leave one open,
late
didn't
entry,
they?
it was a late
entry.
Later on.
Yeah.
And it was, I mean, I know it means you've got to leave, sort of you can leave one effectively, here you've got to leave 5.
but could you not leave one with a steward sort of there to escort them round to
I
the,
mean, it's a question that we can ask,
Yeah.
because,
Right,
there are
stand.
people,
There is an allocated late gate, but why the shuts?
Yes.
Normally, it's when all the queues have gone and everybody's in,
Yeah, yeah.
phase two's called.
But it's worth thinking, it's worth thinking.
yeah, we occasionally, at reception, we sell tickets quite late in the game. Somebody, half an hour into the game, will come and say, I'm delayed in coming, and tend to be neutral fans, and we'll sell them there, so, there's now to be able to turn up with the tickets that kind of late as well, so I think we'll have a look at that.
Yeah, well, Neil raised about a fan said to him about discount hospitality. And it was thought that, I think it was 8%, he says.
Economy at half time, so you're on this forum thing, aren't you?
Yeah,
And,
and it is 5%.
5%, yeah.
Which I think is rubbish.
Only 5%.
Yeah, it's rubbish.
Because then well, again, I'm not sure if you all the stats.
I think, no, it's not so bad if you can flog your own ticket to somebody else and find somebody, but if you're going and and you're not using your own ticket, I think that's not rude. Not rude.
Just be very general.
If it's somebody, for example, with a season ticket,
Yeah.
casual ticket for a match,
Yes.
then the season ticket isn't cancelled.
Yeah.
So, if someone does want to pass it on to a friend or relative, they can do. I don't think anyone has ever asked to say, can I have a bigger refund than you cancel my season ticket? But which is 5%, it has been 5%.
Well, a year or two ago, it was definitely, it was
Yeah.
50 quid,
Yeah.
but it was 30 quid if you received a ticket on, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't a discount, it just was just
Yeah.
30 quid if you received a ticket on, or whatever the numbers were.
Last year it was 5%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's been confirmed.
Yeah.
but-
I think he said it was a bit mean.
I think it's me.
That's why we didn't go last year.
But there is an issue in the work involved to cancel a season ticket and
Yeah.
put a ticket on sale and then find it's not been sold yet. I mean, so it's
Yeah. And if you can shift your own ticket, it's not so bad. But if you can't shift your own ticket, like you've got to have a
We
special. You can't shift your ticket, can you? No.
No.
So I think for next season that needs to be probably thought through a little bit more. And if they come to the decision that that's fine, well, at least we know that they thought it through and not the right decision. But I think 5% is really not good. Yeah, and I've had a formal response from the ticket office on that. We had a couple of things about which have all been solved, so I'm not going to nth degree detail about people being able to pick up tickets when they're physical tickets at away clubs. It was sorted at Oxford, wasn't relevant at Aldershot, and it was sorted at Altrincham, was it?
Yes, yeah.
Altrincham. So yeah, we've got a route for that.
And it always will be the case.
Yeah.
The fact is that, some clubs aren't particularly helpful, but so you try and shift as many on local collections as you can. A couple of times since I've been around, I've travelled to the away clubs myself.
Would there be an option that if somebody's willing to pay for it, that they get the signed, registered next day delivery that's like £6.80 or whatever, if they're willing to pay for it and take the risk that if the ticket disappears in the post, that's not your fault?
So it's, yes, I mean, we'll do anything, and some will post that, but bear in mind when it came to final, we were actually receiving tickets 2 days before the match.
Yeah, which is obviously not possible, but if you're getting
Yeah.
tickets 2 weeks before and, it was just something that,
To be honest, I mean, we're open to anything, I think. We even, the Oxford ones actually were PDFs, in theory, because have somebody down and email them to people. But it's just something that we don't have in place to do, and it probably means bringing somebody in especially to do that. But we'll have a look. But, in terms of when we sell away tickets, we only sell away tickets when we think that we're likely to sell out or exceed what season ticket holders want. And that's not always just the total number of seats. For Altrincham, it was the fact that we only got 50 seats, as opposed we got 1,400. You only get 50 seats. The equality regulations really mean you've got to have a look at who gets those seats. So, and we did have a number of people who needed to sit down at a match because they got disabilities, but they got accompanying carers who were standing. It's because we were limited on how many seats there were. And that's the reason we did it at Altrincham, not because of the absolute numbers.
And there weren't zillions of seats at Aldershot, were there? I don't know. Oh, we did. We had big sort of.
Aldershot, I think they told us there were 250.
Yeah, it was full. It looked from the other side. It looked absolutely full.
There's no set protocol in the league then, that's what to say, 2 weeks in advance of the fixture, you're supposed to send the tickets out. There was structured sales point, and you knew like 5 days before it was general sale.
No, there are rules. The rules are that basically, the away team always has the right to sell the tickets. So,
would there be any way of coming up with in advance, these are the places that we will sell tickets for, and to put that out so that just shuts everybody up and they know in advance that, okay, I can't buy that from them, I've got to get my head in gear and do that.
well, at the moment we're contacting, we told every club at the start of the season that we reserve the right to sell the tickets. And in theory, I've confirmed that 4 weeks before, that's the day in there. And if we say 4 weeks before, we're going to sell the tickets, they have to be sent to us.
Yeah.
Now, we get 5%, and people on Bob's will say, oh, you're doing it for 5%. It probably costs us more in staffing, and particularly as, some of the tickets are £1 for some of the away grounds, some of them nothing, 3 for under 11s. We're getting 5% of nothing for selling that ticket, and it's through our ticket system, which charges us. So in reality, we'd rather not sell them,
Yeah.
because we don't make enough to justify.
That's interesting.
But we will do it if we think there's going to be, it's going to exceed the numbers of season ticket holders, so they get what we agree with season tickets, that they get the first choice. We don't hold tickets back. Yes, there will be some sponsors who aren't conventional ticket holders that will always say, can we have some tickets for a night? So if sponsor A, who sponsors one of the stands, has 10 tickets as part of that, they're not going to be online and buy them season ticket holders generally. There'll be some members of staff and some volunteers. Some of the people who work every match day don't have a season ticket because they volunteer here. And we'll know some of those reasonably high profile people. If they come along, we're not going to say, as has happened in the past, you're not a season ticket holder, you can't have a ticket. The fact that you've worked every game for us for nothing, So there's always going to be, and they talk about, some are held back, for the good and the great and friends of the club. Yes, in those terms there are. We'll also, if it's a very limited number, make some allowance for the travel clubs. The fact is that there's everybody that's on that first coach for the Barrel Inn and on True Blue are season ticket holders anyway. You don't go to every single away match like they do if you're not a season ticket holder. But it might be that those people, we want to make sure that we're not running a coach with 10 people on it.
Yeah, because you can't get tickets.
Yeah. So there's always coming out a little bit, but it's not, but in reality, when you do that, you find nearly all of them have got the tickets anyway, because they're season ticket holders and nobody first in the queue. So the only people, there will be the odd few staff, the odd few sponsors who expect tickets at this end, and there might be a few on the travel clubs. But we're not holding back a block of 200 because I've got a personal friend who I always get a ticket for. I don't have a friend, so I don't.
There's two things we learned there. One, that Pete's not got any friends. And two, and I thought you were a sensible lad, Mark, that you think the National League have got a protocol. I bet you regret saying that as soon as you. But that's a very useful. Thing to say there. And just out of interest, have we sold everything at any of the grounds so far? Did we sell everything for Oxford or not quite?
No, because Oxford, the issue with Oxford originally, we asked how many tickets they offered to us, and they said 550. When we said, they've gone, we'll do some more.
Yeah.
And bear in mind, they're a club that until this year had never segregated properly, and
their average crowd last season was 304. Put into perspective.
So effectively, it was them saying, well, how many can actually really fit in? Well, yeah, some more then.
Yeah.
And it's,
We don't
yeah.
know if we've got-
So that was the reason. Had we known we could have
No, I know.
1,000 there, we might not have, worried about it.
That needs
I think
to fall in there.
you could have got one in their club, then got one in their club,
But
which
there's nowhere in ground disabled to sit at all.
they didn't look as though there was.
They were, because we asked, I went and asked.
No,
them.
they didn't look.
Told them
What's
to
that,
take a
couldn't
chair
you
up
attend
three
us?
steps.
Could we attend? We did.
Yeah.
They could have attended, but there wasn't any proper view.
But there was nowhere at all for disabled, nothing.
What they
I'd been around, I'd had a look round, I was passing a few days earlier, I had a look round and I'd seen that there was no.
Yeah, what I'm saying.
He told us to
Stuart
take up
told us
three
there were no-
steps and sit her at
Yeah,
back. I said, if you want to go to chair. up,
Yeah.
go to chair.
Well,
yeah.
There
Well,
was
they said to us that because it's a relatively flat ground, wheelchairs can go anywhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, specific area.
It's
You look at the
eye-
barriers,
You
aren't
couldn't see anything.
Yeah.
There was
Sit
actually,
like that.
there was actually nowhere sat in the away seating where you could see all the ground.
No,
All the
yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, well, for where we were, if there's a corner on the left-hand side, you just have to wait for the ball to come out the end of the building. Yeah. So, but no, very, very useful conversation that, and to say that the picking the tickets up and everything like that is, well, thanks for that, Pete. Chris has said that, I mean, this is over and done with, but I think that the learning is worth making a note of. He says, good advice to tell supporters to arrive earlier, but then queues of course because season ticket holders or gate readers were not working this first day of the first game of the season. Eventually my card worked, but his mate Michael's had to be let in by the side door. So another supporters entered the ground the same way, so what was the real crowd for it? Well, it's ticket sold, wasn't it? I think what we're learning from that is if you're going to get problems on season tickets, it's going to be day one, or for those on holiday, day two, or game two, that it might be worth sometimes, if we can muster up some volunteers, just to say, oh, you need to do this, because it's especially this year, there's hundreds of new season ticket holders. Oh, it don't work, what do I do? And there's no gate people there, aren't there?
No.
So I think, and it's got to be generally the biggest problem day one.
Yeah.
And
But there are stewards immediately outside the
Yeah.
turnstiles.
yeah, but if they don't know what if they don't know what the route
Well,
is,
I can only speak for East Stand, and, you know, they're usually straight on to people and advising them what to do.
Yeah.
Would they do season ticket holders or would they just?
I don't know.
Because, I mean, I can't see anybody that I know had a problem with it.
Yeah. No, I don't.
Season ticket.
What one issue was if you move categories, so we understood from SeatGeek, Fortress, which are ticket people and the Thursday people, that if you became 65, so suddenly you were a concession, your ticket said adult, there won't be an issue. That was, those tickets didn't work. So, you know, there's going to be a few of those.
Category.
Yeah, and because we said to people, oh, don't worry about that, be wrong, if you want to come in at some point, we'll change it for you, if you want to use it as your ID or something, but yeah, there were some of those. And there are always going to be some that don't work. It's how we handle it, and I think what we should be doing, and we don't always get it right, is if somebody comes and it's fairly certain that they've got a proper season ticket, it doesn't work, what you do is, you know where you're sitting, don't you? Yes, I do. I'll take your ticket off you and bring it back to the office. And that happened with some of them. So there were some stewards coming back, and after the first match, we probably had close to 100 past us that we checked. Some did seem to work. It's just, you know, one of those things. Some we realised what was wrong with them. But there seemed to be other people.
Well, people were getting in the game.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was how I hoped it would work. There were some other people who they went, well, it's not working out well, right, off you go. And did get the card off them. So
But still not going to work next week.
Yeah.
Is it? You know?
So we've had really had 3 matches of people coming, and there's still a small number of. But yeah, it comes with having 4,200 season ticket holders. I think there's always going to be a few.
And Chris makes a secondary point, second little middle, there were no paper towels in the toilets at half time. I think the pigeons were complaining. And like, no, so again, that's a little bit like the pigeon poo thing. It may be that if they're a man down or something like that, they do. I'm sure that's a tick box.
Yeah, it's basically a replacement for half time. Yes.
That was, I think that was at the start of the match as well. Wasn't it?
Well, he
Was
said,
that
no,
after?
it might be somebody else that says it, but he said it told us at the half time. And Chris had sent that to FansAt originally, and that highlights a little bit about the emails not being responded to. So he eventually sent it to Forumat and got a response. So, yeah, again, the note from from Paul will indicate a little bit about that. Now, there's been 1 or 2 people have brought this out. I'm a season ticket holder, row F, seat 102, block C4, so on the west stand. And I'd like to make you aware that when the tunnel cover is pulled out as far as possible, as far as it possibly can go at the start of the game, at the end, I can't see a large section of the ground of the players as they parade round to thank the crowd support. It doesn't say can't see the game, but the
It's at the
the-
start
the
of the
things
match
at the end.
at the end.
Now, and that was from Dillis. No, it can't be from you, because it says a fan since 15 and I'm now 74, so it can't possibly be you.
Really?
So,
So which way?
and then there's another one. I'd like to raise an issue with a group of friends sitting in the second and third rounds, I know, took out. And this is quite a funny one as well. We're questioning why the plastic tunnels have been pulled out pre-match and post-match, obscuring our view. There are often events happening on the pitch, and if the tunnel's out, we can't see. Let me make the point is, and we'd also question whether the advertising wall at the stadium on the top of the tunnel is still appropriate.
Yeah,
And I think that's quite.
that's their comment.
I've observed many Premiership games, and covering over the tunnel doesn't seem to be in situ, blah, 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 blah. And then there's another one that there's our children used to come over before the game. It's really at the end as much as anything.
And I think what it is that it's being pulled out that bit further this season than it has. That's what it seems from what I could
I mean, I
read.
don't know if it's been pulled out any further. I mean, I don't know what the answer is. I don't know the answer about the sponsorship of it, that that's being replaced imminently.
Oh, right.
There's a new sponsor. It's just taken a while to find somebody to
It
do
doesn't-
the replacement. Yeah.
And a point was made as well that has come in today, was somebody who was hoping to attend, but they've not been able to. And just found my emails today, because it only came in a little while ago. And they've done a little bit of homework, and it sort of said, I've looked at the rules regarding this, and the only thing I can see, and I quote, there must be a safe, unimpeded passage for match officials between the dressing room and the pitch. Use of protection design products such as permanent structural or retractable tunnels is recommended. So there is something that, and I think.
It is exactly, you notice the red card, it's always pulled out, and it is exactly the fact for plane protection for flying objects and things like that.
Yeah. So, but it isn't about obstruction for the match. Because initially when I started reading, I thought it might be, it's a bit higher and people sitting near it couldn't see, but it isn't that. It's the, when players are signing autographs and everything.
I'm not sure the answer.
It's the same stuff down there, so I can't see anything's changed, to be honest, but.
Tank can go and
Tank and
Kevin.
The fact is, the kids that go there want to reach over, that's intended to stop them doing that, even though we don't think there's a danger with 12-year-olds wanting to a high five. It's just, it does come within the stadium regulations. I think it's more once you get into National League level, because there's such a variety of grounds that, you do have places where they do put gates just. It's because
Just put barriers across.
this level of fact that.
Oh, yeah, like Derby cricket ground, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, here, you've got a sterile aisle, which is the technical areas. Most grounds we play at won't have that.
And one of the people who's made that point, you're right, Marcia, you obviously read and done your homework. He just said, oh, by the way, there was no paper towels, no toilet paper, and only one circumspected pre-match in one game. So, and their comment, rightly or wrongly, is it's been obvious that cutbacks have been made for a while and things are neglected, but surely before each game, and certainly the first game of the season, someone should be accountable for refilling things in the toilets. So,
Cleaners do go around in the first half, you see them, so it must be.
I see them, but
Yeah.
I see them in the West Stand.
Yeah, the red trolley and they go around with the soap and stuff,
Yes.
so it must be one of them.
They're not in the main toilets, it shouldn't be an issue, it's almost like a tick list.
Yes.
There were some issues in the East disabled toilets, partly because.
High level.
Yeah, partly because they're sort of shared between Trust and Football Club, and who's responsible for them, and the soap dispensers have stopped working there. So I went and, when I realised this, because I've been up there sorting out some issues anyway, ended up missing 20 minutes of the game because I was queuing in Oldie to bring back. So just so there was some there, particularly when it's people with disabilities, it's even more important. So, but we do now check before, and that's now on the tick list.
Yeah, but the wrong sort of soap, so can we have lifeguard? Is that right?
In lounge toilets.
Yeah.
There's no warm water, is there?
Should be.
It's always cold.
I've never noticed there's been no warm water.
It should be.
Yeah, there should be.
Sorry, don't call, yeah.
What, you talking about the disabled one or the general one?
General.
The disabled one, it's warm water, you turn a tap on it with his.
She talks on the ones on the
Flashes
corridor, not the ones behind in SBK.
One's on corridor.
I wasn't aware there was an issue. It might be we're not aware there's an issue.
Yeah, well, it's worth a look,
Yeah.
Warm water.
Until somebody tells them they won't.
I've
No,
never noticed. But this is the easiest one that we've ever had to solve. Grant. Can you ask whoever does the interviews with Danny Webb, this is the one that's listed on the website, to put the mic near his mouth? Right, yeah, so I've mentioned it to the mic holders. They do, but Danny's is a head mover, so you have to follow him round. Then there was one that was I think came hot on the heels of the Oldham game, and I've been disappointed with the club's response on this. I'm sure they're going to look at it, but that was when the season ticket holders were moved into different blocks for whichever game it was.
the one before Oldham, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't Oldham.
No.
No. It was the Dorking game.
The
Dorking game.
first, yeah.
Yeah. So people had bought season tickets.
Oh,
First
yeah.
game Dorking.
Across the north, 3, 4, 5.
Yes.
2, 3, 4,
Yeah.
I don't think there's been a proper explanation, but I'll tell you, it is about both matches actually.
Well, have season ticket holders in also only in 2 and 3? Have they been the only ones?
Only 2 and 3 have been sold, and the intention is that those blocks are also used for our community tickets.
Yeah.
So 2 and 3 ought to have several, hundred people in it for every match. For the first match, the Dorking match, we didn't have as many stewards turn up as we were expected. And we're now working in partnership with a private company for that. We used to backfill when we haven't got enough. Effectively now staff have been tubing over to them, so they're supplying all of the stewarding staff. And for that match, there weren't not everybody turned up. Bear in mind, holiday time and all that. So you got people who, I'll make that, and then decided not to come. So there was a shortage of stewards, which meant the way to mitigate that was to close a couple of stairwells. Each stairwell you would have one top and bottom, and then each dormitory you've got to have somebody on and that. And that meant the easiest way to do it was to close a couple of blocks. That included block 2, which had some season ticket holders in it. And unfortunately, they said also, because they were moving people across, sit anywhere in block 3, which meant some people sat at the back in somebody's seat. And of course, that was then compounded by the fact that the next match we had to move season ticket holders anyway. And that was because when we made the plan to use the North Stand as we used it, the league regulation said we only have to offer 10% to away clubs. And Little East, as we call it, this corner up here, actually holds 10,047 people with the normal setting in there. So that was adequate. And then 2 weeks before the season, the National League fell in with the new FA regulation, say 15%, and that includes every single league. But I've not seen the Premier League taking any notice of them. So Oldham went for their 15%, and they sold 1,300 and odd. So we had to move, and I gave people the choice of where they wanted to sit. But Hartlepool, when we said 1,000, they said that'll be fine. They're subsequently sold out. And the only other one, Halifax haven't travelled in any numbers. York did bring 1,100, but that was on a bank holiday rather than Tuesday night.
Yeah.
So we're going to suggest 11,000 as well. Yeah. So we're not expecting there'll be any more matches. The league matches will not happen. Cup matches will be a different matter. People realise that at the outset. But to be honest, there was a lot in there. There's probably 30 odd people who season ticket holders. But a fair few are now buying in there because the Cock sells out.
Yeah.
A week
And
before
that
matches.
was the problem, wasn't it? They didn't want to buy in the Cop,
Yes.
that one, because it was the second row.
Yeah, it's only the second row or whatever, yeah. And Tom, who made the point, thanks for the response that he got from Forum, but I think he was disappointed that the club didn't respond to it formally at that time, especially with it being the first match that people had bought season tickets in there. And he said, so in the, he's obviously saying where it had to sit, and it wasn't the season that chosen. And he said, so in the end, a complete waste of £65. I won't come to the Oldham game now as planned. I'd rather sit at home in a seat that I can choose and be able to see the game properly. So, clearly Tom, and Tom's just Tom, but there were obviously quite a few people who were. And the tales came out at the time that it was due to a lack of stewards. I think the stewards said it's due to a lack of stewards. I think people knew what, but I think they would just like to hear what Pete said, hot on the heels of the match.
Yeah, it's the communication
Yeah.
issue.
I think the
isn't it?
problem is a lot of fans judge our ground against our competitors. So you go to Wealdstone, you see a handful of stewards there. This ground, because it's so big, has this 36 statutory stewarding points, plus you've got to have one steward for every 250 people.
As well as the 36. So 36 is your baseline.
Yeah, and then the green guide
Oh,
says
okay. Oh, let me write that down.
one per 250 or 1 per 100 if it's a CAF game.
So
And these are all
36
guidelines. The problem is we're seeing record crowds as well.
Yeah.
Probably
250.
the soap and the
I'm
Yeah.
talking.
because we're
I
seeing-
think the thing is that they know,
I never knew that.
I'm just not used to.
you didn't know when, I mean, how long before the game did you know? Would it be in sort of 1 o'clock when stewards were doing.
Yeah,
that.
basically,
Yeah.
when Stuart's doing up the briefing.
Because some come from
Yeah.
sort of Lancashire and all sorts now,
Yeah,
don't they?
yeah,
It's
yeah,
S1,
It,
Sierra ones.
I mean, I think it might have been an
We-
idea if a member of staff had been round there as well, just to inform people.
Well, it is difficult because you're informing potentially 1,000 people in a stand. And it's, you know, I don't know how you communicate it. The decision was made quite late because we're already, we were selling tickets on the day in
Yeah.
the other blocks. And we got word in the ticket office, hang on a minute, we just counted the stewards tonight.
Yeah, because I think
Stop
some-
selling 1 and 2, we're gonna have to shuffle people across.
Because I think somebody said last time, I've just been and bought a ticket, I couldn't sit in the seat that I just bought.
Yeah, 'cause bear in mind, all the paperwork back in about 1 o'clock with all the numbers, the ground opens at
Yeah.
1:30,
Yeah.
half an hour,
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
not
yeah.
a lot
No.
to start saying, and then mixing, because people kept saying the lack of first aid provisions,
Mm.
so then you get mixed messages, that's kind of social media. It wasn't just that they could only have 3 blocks.
Anyway,
Possibly a message out on social media
Yeah.
would have helped as well.
It's the highest first day home crowd
Oh,
we've
yeah,
ever had
yeah.
here.
Yeah.
You know, so, there are a lot of, but yeah, people just like to know. That, it's the communication element, isn't it? Now, so that's the emails that we had. This is from the board meeting on the 31st of August that Paul Stankard has sent. And there's 10 points. Point 1, communications. Communications into and from the club need a full review and improvement plan. The board have agreed a communications improvement plan. I'm meeting Paul, that is Paul's meeting on the 20th of September to begin a working group to address this, looking at telephone, email, social media, etc., and set up short-term and medium-term plans. We'll also look at IT improvements to facilitate continuous improvement performance. So the club is setting up a working party on communications.
Good.
So that's a result. It might not bring results, but it's a result.
It's a start.
Steps in the Orions, which we always said, fit to the East End. We did some feedback, and if all good, we'll install in all male toilets across all 4 stands.
Good.
Better nip to Wilco's, quick, get some stalls. Well, Tannoy. We've not had any additional. I think there might have been one mention about Tannoy, didn't there?
I've had 4.
Have you had 4?
Well,
Yeah.
there was 4.
It says the system has been tested on a match day, no obvious problem. Need to ensure that it's not PA's mind. Can we ask the fans for feedback again?
Yeah.
So they were doing a testing. I had a meeting with Chris Farmers, all people earlier on, and they were testing the things out. And it needed bloody deafeners, and I was inside.
No, there was at least 4 people on
I've got family.
the message,
You can't-
not
they
on the
can't
message
hear.
board.
They can't hear at all.
Message board or fans group on
Yeah.
Facebook that
Once
could
again,
not
I'll
hear anything.
reiterate that when Howard's on the mic pitch side, clarity is perfect.
Yes. It's when there's a sub in and he has
Yeah.
how many holidays, there's more sub than.
Yeah, it's, you know, or, you know, an announcement within match time when obviously Howard's not doing it.
Yes.
The clarity's not there.
Well, I'm sure somebody said, and I'm not prepared to say that somebody was because I can't remember. The last meeting we had was they were going to ask a specific steward in each one to report. I
I can't see whether that's, because I know they've done, they've
Yeah,
done.
I'm
the
not
pre-match.
imagining that.
No,
but-
you're not imagining
Because
it.
Darren Parkinson went around with the machine,
Yeah.
but not with the stadium, so
Yes.
with the last game, there was.
Oh, all the decibel levels
The
are,
last,
are right.
this is,
It's not
I know
it's
that,
not the- It's not the volume,
It's the clarity.
it's the clarity.
Yeah,
It's all muffled, everything's muffled, particularly in South, well, I don't sit anywhere.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I sit in South Stand, so I know what it's like in there. And it's just muffled, it's loud enough, but it's just muffled all the
So
time.
it might be microphone or anything like that. But we do need that feedback from somebody who's got to report.
Well, yeah, I think, well, I don't know whether it's in policy, there was talk about, there were concerns about the microphone that's being used, the roving microphone being used, how old it was and whether it was a bit hit and miss. So I think there was talk about replacing that and getting a
Points to speakers, isn't it?
Yeah.
Elsewhere in the ground, you can hear it from the same microphone. It's not the microphone.
Yeah. And there was
It's
a
a speaker,
speaker,
so-
and the emergency one, as Phil's mentioned, when you do the emergency one, you know, you can't
Yeah,
get stop
you're
your
not-
telephone
yeah,
call,
yeah.
whatever, you start, you know,
Yeah.
and that goes everywhere.
Because there were subtitles.
Yes, can we get some Dragon software so it goes on the big screen with the subtitles? Yeah, yeah. That used to be one of my great televisual pleasures years ago when they had the automatic software and they were putting the lyrics up on the song contest. That was brilliant. The things that came up there. So yeah, we need more feedback. Anybody out there and listening, more feedback, please, going forward. But
Well,
yeah,
Liam Power's listening, and I think it doesn't he work on the South Stand concourse. So maybe Liam, if you're still there, you can maybe give some feedback Saturday after the match and say what the sounds like concourse during the match.
I'm talking of concourses, almost a perfect segue, Marcia.
There you go.
Point number 4 is concourse customer experience. Paul is meeting with several others on the 20th to plan a formal comprehensive survey of fans' views on the overall concourse experience. Food, quality choice, value, drink choice, cleanliness, facilities. I will ensure this survey and the subsequent actions address many of the recent issues and concerns raised at the forum. So again, that's been addressed. Whether the solutions come out as satisfactory, we don't know, but it's been listened to and the club are addressing it. And similar vein, but it's a different point, Tuck Shop, agreed as a good plan by all, will be implemented. The club over the meeting with a potential partner.
Cool.
So that'll be good. Shared car scheme. This was not discussed in the board meeting, but I, Paul, feels that the associated safeguarding risks and required assessment procedures would not make this a priority for the club at present. I get that.
Yeah,
It's for fans to sort out too. so.
yeah.
I get that.
Yeah, we've got forums and that, and that where it works, and people say, oh, look, I've got room in the car, and that works fine.
Instruction for folding paper tickets to avoid queues being sorted. I think that was the big arrive and they're in a big thing on the back there in the middle or whatever. So whether they'll redesign that, I don't know, but it's on there. The club is looking at one of the points that were made earlier on. The club looking into why only one exit door in the east end was reopened after the recent match was open after, well, you said it was open last time,
it was open.
but we have the northwest one, so that's been looked at. Discussion this week, taking place this week, the fan zone. An announcement will be made shortly. We need to gauge from fans what activities, amusement they would like to see. Amusements. What amusements would you like to see in the fan zone? I would like some co-production with fans through our supporters forum here. So again, that's a formal request for people to send in what they want, which I'm sure
We await interested replies.
will involve
Liam said he'll
Carling
give
or
us some
Foster's.
feedback from the
maybe.
concourse on Saturday as well, so
Yeah.
that's great, thanks Liam.
And then a point that somebody had made about replays on the screen. I've asked Nick about the possibility of replays. Nick, we're looking to a plan for replays following a goal, for instance. It is possible, but we need to consider a plan on who and how practically this will happen. So you probably need a volunteer student or somebody to make
You
that.
used to have to make it.
Yeah, did you?
And you were in good friendship.
And you know what?
You want
It
to
used to
know,
happen, but I've no idea who made it happen.
No, I don't know.
I don't know who made it happen.
Do, I think, but I'm not sure, I think it was.
I think it was on the
More-
TV gantry rather than the
Yes,
press area, wasn't
yeah.
it? Which is probably why I
I
don't know
think
how
it was to do with the person that
Yeah.
did all the stuff during COVID as well, that
Yeah.
got the stream
Andy.
up and,
Andy.
No.
Yeah, there was somebody that came.
Olive?
Yeah, Olive, effectively produced.
Yeah.
Streaming at that point.
And I
Oh,
think
yeah,
it
yeah,
was,
Ollie Mooney.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I think it was him
Oh,
that
right.
did that, but he's left, so that's.
So, well, the thing is, we know it's technically possible, but it's mixed, but we don't need to look at it. So, right, how many have we got online listening in?
We've got 11.
11 online.
Yeah.
So is that the highest we've had, or have we had?
One disappointing omission from their
Okay.
Stober bag users.
Stoner bag users, I've had a conversation with, I'll write that down. I've had a conversation with Jane Cooper, who's on the trustees board, and she had put that recommendation in.
Oh,
to
that's
the club
brilliant then,
before.
yeah.
No. This is before you brought it up.
Right.
And nothing had been acted on it. So I think that needs.
Yeah, I think
Again.
probably what, so I think there's whether it mentioned the board, whether, because I may have mentioned it under the equality, under my equalities bit, because I was talking about some work I've done with, fans with disabilities. And I think it's an absolute given, and then we said, well, if we know what's required, We do it, and I think the question then was.
Shelf hook mirror.
Yeah,
Shelf,
yeah.
mirror, hook, cleanliness.
So I think, and
All
we
these
suggested going
issues.
back to Jane to see if there was a formula that.
Yeah, there is,
Yeah.
and Jane says she's presented it to somebody.
I wasn't aware that Jane had, because Jane's one of my go-to people,
Yes.
obviously.
So if I think she'll have done did she do audit?
Yes, she's done it, yeah.
If you look at the audit, it should be.
I will have a look, because I'm surprised it wasn't done, because there's not going to be a terrific amount of cost to it.
No,
No,
it's only the disabled toilets.
Yeah. And the other thing, as I may have said before, it's about making clear that those disabled toilets are for the wider disabled people.
Yes.
You know, that people aren't stopped from using them, and
Yes.
basically, if somebody says, I need to use that, and you go, mate,
yeah, there should be no
Because
question.
disabilities are hidden and
Yeah,
people
yeah,
need to
There's
understand.
no question that, excuse me, like last season when somebody went, you don't look disabled, it's just totally wrong, it's.
I think that actually went to their council.
Should have done, but yeah.
Yeah.
Katie says that the last time game, the music on the concourse sounded much louder than usual, but it's the announcements that's the
Yeah.
issue on the south
Yeah,
stand.
well, thank you, Katie.
So,
And any other questions on there at the moment?
no,
Feel free, the listeners, to put your questions in. Any from the floor? Been fairly comprehensive what we've heard so far, to be honest, and a bit of progress, which is always good. Really important to know.
I've had nothing passed on to me.
Nobody said anything about defence.
Can't defend that.
Yeah, well,
On the back here of Saturday.
Coming up all that.
No, last Saturday. How come we played in orange when they played in red? And our goalkeeper played in red.
Our goalkeeper played in pink, didn't he? Our goalkeeper played in pink.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, enough red.
Yeah, it was because they've got a blue stripe on the front of their shirt. So they had a blue stripe on the front of their shirt.
So we've got playing blue.
Well, no, our kit man made the decision because they got a blue stripe on the front, because they asked the question a year or two ago when Dagenham and Redbridge played in blue and white, and they wouldn't allow them to wear blue against Dagenham and Redbridge. So because they reverted back to blue, and we have played in orange before at Old Shot, when we had orange last time round, when Will Lemon scored 2 goals. It was a question, well, you don't want to take the blue kit down and the referee moan about it.
Yeah.
On the ground, perhaps it was different, but on television, it was very difficult sometimes to see.
The goalkeeping kit were a bit similar.
Yeah.
From afar.
Yeah.
So did we wear the pink goalkeepers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a
Yeah,
big
they're
issue
not
would
great.
be, I mean,
Theirs were green,
there's, I've seen a lot of clashes that I keep thinking recently that if somebody's colourblind, they wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
Well, we've had this.
That's a definite, that's an issue in football, and it's something that the EFL are
Chelsea
working on.
and
The Premier League aren't following the same protocol.
somebody played light blue and dark blue
We-
against
we-
each other.
What we do, part of the pre-match is finding out what the away team are going to wear, and then sometimes going to the referee and saying, "Do you have this?" And some referees, you know, because there are occasions over the last couple of years where both of them were white as yours. Some refs are on that, some aren't.
Well, Hartlepool's kit was force the referees to change colour.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hartlepool for me. For a long while at this level, referees wouldn't change.
No.
Now they will.
We actually ended up with a kit that we could never wear.
That's
The all
it,
black
yeah.
one.
Yeah, that was because of that. At this level, referees wear black.
So they can change now then?
Yeah, they can change now.
Because that's the first time we've seen
We've
different
seen-
colour red.
Yeah.
Hartlepool for me was an issue, because obviously their main kit is blue, white stripes. Their second kit is navy and turquoise. And that's, well, it's some form of green, but it's basically it's blue and green.
It's funny, it looked very black, but I've seen photographs again, it looks a lot bluer on the photographs than
When
in
you saw
live.
The back,
When you
the back of the shirt
Yeah.
certainly looked all black.
Yes.
Yeah, it didn't look an issue when you saw them on the pitch, but when you saw the photographs, you're going, they can't wear that.
Yeah.
What's their third kit? I don't know.
We've got a question for Adam.
Question for Adam. Right.
Has there been any developments with regards to the Oldham pitch invasion?
I've been on holiday, but yes. Yeah, so there's 14 images going out to Greater Manchester Police. They've got to do control viewings before they go out to press. I've literally got back off all the yesterday, so I've not logged onto my emails yet. I'm hoping that response will be sat there when I log on in the morning. So yes, this week and early next week, those images, if not been identified without going to press, will be going out to press, including the lad who pushed Harry Trier, including one Chesterfield fan, the lad in a red t-shirt.
Yeah, we all know the one that you mean, yeah.
If nobody wants to name without going to press. If anybody doesn't know and wants to drop me a message, save his image going out.
Yes, and as you said earlier before we started, formally, people will have seen, because it's been in the press, that there was one arrest made. That wasn't to do with the final pitch invasion, that was an incursion earlier.
There was literally one about a minute before, which took 3
So
stewards
that
out.
took 3 stewards out, which meant there were 3 stewards less
Less.
there at the point of the main.
And I'll just cover another point as well. Loads of, I got quite a bit of grief. Why didn't you arrest the 200 that went on? It's physically impossible to, it's all about pitch recovery at that point when you got that many on.
Yeah.
There's 1 or 2, they will be dealt with at the time, and there's 200. And it was 1 minute 22 from the first person coming on to the pitch being cleared. So I don't think that's bad with, and who'd have guessed 95th minute equaliser, game 4, that they'd celebrate like that. The players have got to take some responsibility, but nobody was injured yet. But obviously the goalkeeper was pushed over, and it, for those who've seen it, it was completely blindsided, and Harry's a big lad, and he's completely blindsided and was pushed to the ground. You know, it wasn't a stumble, he was proper shook up over. It shouldn't have happened. Yeah.
Gary says thank you. And Liam's got a question.
Yeah, go on, Liam.
Just a thought, could we have another Q&A with either players or one of the many coaches, such as Kieran Dyer, further building the connection between fans and playing staff?
Not seeing you.
No. Yeah, well, I was going to make a point earlier on, but I just forgot what it was. No, it's all right, don't worry. Any more questions from the floor?
We've gone up to 12.
No?
I've got some comment, but not
Yeah, comments
on all the matters.
Yeah, all right, okay.
Well,
It depends what they are, right? Yeah, I can't, if you've got a dodgy knee, I can't help you with that.
the first one was the travel.
Oh.
And it's only a question really to Adam. We were told, we were on the first coach, so
You're one of the unlucky ones that made the game.
Yeah.
But Liz was told that the first coach couldn't go until the second coach arrived because it needed police approval. And it seems to be strange to me at a match like that we were delayed half an hour, apparently for that reason until.
No, I spoke to Liz on the day. No, there's no police. It's not been booked on.
So I couldn't understand the reason.
Oh, so was coach one held back until coach two arrived?
No, no.
Well, it was to start with.
It was initially. It was held until 12:05 when the news came in that coach
Two was going to be late.
two would be even
All
later.
right, okay, that's
And
interesting.
then we went, but and I couldn't see. I mean, when by the time we'd actually, well, it's quite about the time we'd arrived at the ground, half an hour, 3 quarters before the start, there was news that the first coach broke down the motorway. And
Second.
so I think they were hoping that would arrive. Then when news came through that it wasn't really immediately. Then they said, well, she spoke to, I think it was the director of the club, not quite know who it was, but she had then to stay with the people waiting for the second coach. And the news was that we had to wait for police approval before the first coach could go.
No, that's not us. That's not.
No,
And
no,
I
I spoke to
think
Liz on the
it's
day.
sensible to speak to
But
you.
all I said to her was, give me a ring when they 10-15 minutes out, so I could let the ground know to get open for anything.
Well, the director will have been Paul Stankard. And I'll tell you the rationale. Paul Fisher, who covers for Radio Sheffield, his dad was on coach 2. So we heard that coach 2 hadn't arrived, And then we heard it had broken down and everything along those lines. Because it broke down Baslow, Gold Gates, around there, wasn't it? somewhere like that. And so Paul, I rang Paul, not here in the news, Paul Stankard, too many Pauls involved in this
Yeah.
question. Paul Stankard, I know he spoke to John. Paul was just literally outside the ground, just arriving outside the ground. And he said, oh, John's here, we'll have a chat. And Paul got back to me, and this was, I think, after the breakdown. Paul was sort of saying that the coach company's got a reciprocal agreement with a number of other coach companies that strategically located geography, including Ully's. But anyway, that's by the by.
In all fairness, they've got some decent coaching now.
Yes, they have. And Ully's.
Yeah,
Yeah, they have. They really have got some decent ones.
Yeah, my brother works there.
And the driver should be briefed that they should phone the office, that they should be straight away getting a replacement coach from wherever they are. It appears that the driver didn't know that. The person in the office didn't know that. So that's really for the club to push it home with the coach operator. But everybody should know.
I can confirm that Ully's weren't contacted.
I think one of the issues was, and I think this is correct, that coach 2 was a replacement in the first place.
Yes.
Coach, yeah.
Of course, one broke
So
down,
by
yeah.
the time the person came with the replacement, whether they knew the protocols because they were replacements, so that might be where it broke down. And to some extent, you know,
Put it down.
you'll criticise or figure behind, but if one's broken down and the next one, you're going to.
But the office should have known.
I think we got through.
I think the main question is, having worked for most of your life in public transport, yes, the question is, why have you got two coaches breaking it down if you've got a
To be fair, I think the second one's just a complete freak.
Did one of the bump as well or something?
Three coaches involved actually.
Yeah, I heard
the
The first one had broken down, the second one had an accident, so they sent another one,
So it was a third
which
one.
went, and then that one broke down in Baslow.
Yeah, I mean, the coaching that was sanitized.
But I would certainly, at least the one that broke down was a replacement. You just wonder, by the time you get into replacement buses, you wonder what quality the replacements are, perhaps. But we're working with the coach company. But basically, everybody that was on the coach has had the coach and their match ticket refunded. They've had a voucher, or the vouchers available to them, and obviously it's between us and the coach company who picks up the final tab.
Yes.
I travel regularly on the coach, but I wasn't aware arrangements had been made with other operators.
No, neither was I. Well, I found that out because I would have broke down.
Therefore, you know, if Liz and the twins or whatever, were aware of that as well.
It does seem sensible because basically, if you're down at Wilston and you break down, you're not going to have 74 hours down there.
This agreement is virtually national between, not just large coach companies, but smaller ones as well.
Yes.
That everybody
It's
else.
been around for a long time,
Yeah,
hasn't it?
exactly.
But people, the thing is, it's sometimes, and sometimes, and I'm not criticising anybody because I don't know people's personality who do it, but sometimes your steward of the bus is just going to be perhaps a bit more forceful, I think, saying to a driver, saying, hey, look, we have got a reciprocal agreement, you should know about it, you should know about it else. Sometimes you've got to do that rather than anything else, it's a call to make, but there's some people who are a bit more bullshit than others that
So I used to work for Liz and I didn't know that at all.
Yeah.
And so to the second point.
Yes.
Nothing to do with travel. I raised before, and I've raised over the years, or recently, is that the programme doesn't contain a league table.
Yeah, you said that a while ago.
Yeah, which I find is disappointing, and people say that, it's something interesting to look at if you've got programmes over the years. And John Crook picked up on that when I mentioned it a couple of months ago. And I noticed that the last programme he still didn't have it. And the other thing which I think the programme could have is sort of interesting statistics which are readable, such as how many goals who scored which season, and possibly attendances. If it shows that Chesterfield are top of the attendance league by a small margin overall, possibly it might encourage people to come to make sure that we stay at the top. So it's just things like that in the programme, which I found in the last
It used to be when I used to do the statistics section.
Okay,
The programmes aren't just for the day, are they? They're looking back. The
Yeah.
folks want to look in the context of the match and that we
Yes,
want to
well,
look
yeah.
at what they would fit and what was happening, so.
And, you know, even people who are really into everything and into the detail of everything, when the half-time scores coming through and somebody's winning, you just wonder, oh, where were they? Like Dagenham Rovers, they come from nowhere. Yeah, they didn't win it. They've got 1 point out of the first 4 matches. Now all of a sudden they're not anywhere in the league, but they won the last 3. And you say, oh well, where will they go if they win? So
I'm surprised it's not being raised.
Yeah.
I think-
I think people think they can get it on the phone, why do they need a programme, but that's not the
Yeah.
point.
No, it's not.
It's not just that as
Looking back,
well.
it's
I
looking back,
think
yes.
somebody had brought up, oh, the programme's not very good anymore. It's like, right, well, what do you want to see in it? I don't know. Well,
who does decide the context?
Nick,
Nick Johnson,
Yeah,
he does take advice as well.
Yeah. And that's the thing, you know, if people comment what they want, no, they don't come Thursday night.
Deadline, I think it, well,
I think
sometimes
Friday,
you want a day of the match, I think
Yeah.
the deadline's Thursday evening.
Yeah.
Years ago, we used to actually get the team in there, and it was the team that was going to play, not the squad.
Oh, no, you can't get,
The actual team.
no,
Yeah, but we are, at one time.
Yeah.
you had 11 players and that was.
Like the committee,
Selection.
you know, the big weekend, you know.
But another issue with last season's programme is the stats page with players played so many games, scored goals and that. That never included any player signed after December last season.
Did it not?
No. And all those at the left were still left on.
Comprehend.
Yes.
I thought that's part.
Yeah.
There's maybe people need to get together and sort of like go, oh, right. Is there any
They were never
chance
like
of
that in my
emailing media?
The Aldershot programme was fabulous, and they said, look, obviously we're not including the previous.
And there's one, I don't know if you can remember it is, Nigel, it was last season, there was one club that used to categorically state that their programme doesn't include any articles, not stats, it's slightly different, any articles that have been published anywhere else, i.e. on the website. There was one last season, so it's all unique, which I quite like that idea because, you know, if there's a lot of things that have been elsewhere.
Yeah, the biggest problem now is I think we're up to about 6 this season that's not publishing the hard copy programme at all.
Oh, there's a 6 of this year.
Barnet don't, do they?
No,
Barnet
Well,
haven't done it
online.
since 2016.
for a while.
But most of them do a PDF and they usually amenable to allowing us to print. The only one we're missing now from last season is Eastleigh, because they lost their PDF. But we've managed to obtain one, but it's.
We lost the manager this year, they're looking careless there, aren't they?
We're still waiting for that programme.
It might be interesting if we told them in Barnet and how one might obtain the programme.
Yes.
I think some people do, don't they, and sell them.
Yeah, I obtained one for, I don't collect programs anymore, but I get programs for somebody who does collect them. And I got one of the very rare Maidenhead from a couple of years ago, 15 quid each to charge for them, didn't they?
£10 per programme, £5 postage, yeah, they actually only agreed to produce 10 for us people who are serious collectors, and that's what we had to pay for.
Don't Luke include it when he does his, that new getaway family.
Yeah, yes, on the website he does, good point, well made. Yeah, on Luke, on this new away guy, he always says at the bottom if the programme is available, so.
That's a good thing that it does that.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Going forward, we'll be that same issue when we get back in league, because it's, you know, there's quite a few league clubs that are not publishing programmes now. The most notable locally is Derby County.
Don't know.
Derby County's not done a programme for 2 seasons
I
now.
think
They do a monthly magazine.
Or not like the Ram that used to be the newspaper.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were awful. Tell you that.
Yeah, Mansfield's not doing one.
That's about like the people who can ride.
They're interested.
We've got more fans than them.
But yeah. Okay. Any more? Any more online?
No.
And this football, do you want an introduction to the Rainbow Spotlights over here? Or?
Yes.
What do you want to know?
Yes,
How do
well-
you think it's gone? You know,
It's going okay. Slowly, we don't
Mr. Darren,
One of the co-founders of the Rainbow Spire. So it started this year in the summer, so it's growing.
Well, I think possibly some people are listening, and that's in, possibly some people in here, if you could just give people a brief idea of what Rainbow Spire Rights actually are.
Yeah, we're a new supporters group, co-founded by myself and my niece. Coincidentally, we were talking earlier in the year that there wasn't a dedicated supporters group for Chesterfield that's for LGBTQ plus community, but like a lot of other clubs have got, like Rainbow Blades, Owls, and all that sort of thing. So we thought, why not, instead of just saying there isn't one, let's actually work and set one up. So
Yeah, great.
So we work closely with the club, which has been brilliant in terms of the support they provided. So yeah, that's sort of where we are at the moment.
And was the official launch at Chesterfield Pride, or
It was, yeah.
And how did that obviously it's gone well at that event, but was there interest from people who weren't necessarily football?
Yeah, we've got quite a bit of interest. So, nice to see that. Nice that Chester came along as well to help support the event. And one of the things we've done as well, because at the same time as we've launched that, there's also been a regional alliance launched for clubs in this area. So we're now aligned with Blades, Owls, Mansfield, unfortunately, Forest, Leeds. So it's like a regional sort of network of LGBT club supporters groups. So it's just to help each other.
And of those local-ish clubs, Darren, which supporters organisation is the most established?
That'd be Blades, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've been going for about 10 years now.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
Okay, and do they do events, or are they there as an advisory capacity, helping to make it easier for people to enjoy a match day experience? What is it that they're about?
yeah, they do. They do a whole range of things. So a lot of the groups do now, what we're hoping to do in one of the next few games is they may have a pre-match social, so that people that want to come along can get together before a match and they have to go to the game together. They do work with the club on things like Rainbow Laces events or some particular game that might be featured. And then there's also the other side of it that if any supporters feel that they need to talk to a group about anything they've experienced at a game. The Southampton fans at the Wednesday game earlier this season, they had a bit of abuse before that. So when Rainbow Owls worked with the club regarding that, so that side to it as well.
So out of interest, Pete, you might not know the answer to this, but you're probably most likely to know the answer. Does for the level playing field sort of day, are they incorporating anything like this into theirs, or are they still just mainly a ethnic minority sort of?
Well, I think you've got effectively the equalities. I mean, it covers all the characteristics, but effectively it's sort of split into three, and it's the racial stuff which comes with kicking out and all that. It's level playing field, which is fans with disabilities, and then it's your LGBT groups that are covered by footballers, homophobia and Rainbow Laces, and one or two others. And effectively, you will celebrate those fans and try and make people aware of how inclusive we hope we can be at specific events. So there will be one that's a kick it out event. There will be a level playing field one, such as the one we did with when we used a lot of money from the deaf children last year. And that there will be a specific one. I don't know the timetable from this year, but generally I thought October was generally you kick it out because that's Black History Month.
Yes.
And I think it tends to be March. It's where they push the LGBTQs.
It's not November, December this year.
I think there's more than one room because football is homophobia, isn't Rainbow Places. So there might be more than one duty. He's picking the right night and then making sure that we highlight it. I mean, when we've done a fan survey and we're due to do another one, there might have a few questions about the concourse is tacked on it this time, but that's what we're looking at.
Yeah,
Well, basically, it's the basic demographics that we look at. So we ask questions about disability, we ask questions about race, gender, and sexuality. And to be honest, the figures, we know in Chesterfield, the figures around diversity when it comes to race are quite low. You know, there are surprisingly few fans who tick the box that they were anything other than heterosexual. And whether that's because people don't tick that box, we have all kinds of reasons. But we want to make
So
sure.
we always get a minimum, don't we?
Yeah.
You'll know a minimum.
Whereas we want to make it clear, like we've done with women at the game, that you know this is a game for everybody, and people shouldn't be put off because of whatever characteristic they display coming to a game. And hopefully, Darren and Ellie and people are going to reinforce that, and we will start to see more representative numbers enjoying the beautiful game.
And have people said, Darren, whether they are reluctant to come to matches? Are the people who may be a bit worried about?
I mean, we've not really gone, because I mean, spoke to people that have joined us are
People who
people
come
that are
to football?
interested anyway.
Yeah.
So I think, we've got work to do to reach out into the community that don't necessarily come to football to see why are they not, and what are the barriers do they think is stopping them, and that's something that we want to get into to doing later on. Yeah.
We were aware that at matches there is language, and we've had it reported formally before, but that's the same for all the characteristics, basically. So you hope that it's been taken seriously. It's certainly been taken seriously by the police. I know that, and I'm at the forefront of that. So we do hope that those barriers will be brought down, and we will make it clear that this is a game that everybody can come to without any fear of any kind of abuse or language.
And a couple of things that I want to reiterate, like I say, great support we've had from the club, so it's not that we think there's an issue with the club, and similarly with the support fan base at Chesterfield. I mean, I've been coming donkey's years. I've never really, like I say, you'll get the odd idiot shouting something in heat at the moment, but generally there has never been, I've observed any kind of problem with our fan base. So that's not why we're doing this. It's almost the other way around, to get people in that might not think that.
Yeah.
And B, as a group, we also are open to allies as well, so you don't have to necessarily have that characteristic to be a member if you want to join as an ally. That's open as well.
That's good. Well, thank you for that. And whilst you want to add a point about that? Or is
No,
it-
sort of linked, but
Yeah,
not.
well, you
no,
go before me then.
it's just the her going to. Katie wants to know if we've got ambassador or official links with other clubs for her going to.
So I think the lead, although I take a lot of leads around equality, really the expert on her game too and that sort of thing is Alice Jackson. And I know that there is a collective between clubs. If there are any particular questions, if you want to put them in, I can ask Alice about them. I've had meetings with her and one of the champions for female involvement in the game.
Cool.
Yeah, good point.
Hope that answers your question.
And this isn't a club initiative at all, but it's worth noting down. I'm sure quite a few of you know Dale Cooper, who's blind, albino guy, who's been registered blind since birth. Whilst he can detect light, he can't see anything of any consequence. And he generally listens to we've got a loop system for visually impaired, because the trouble with internet radio is it's 30 seconds after the event, so you can listen to what you missed 30 seconds earlier. So we've got a loop, so it delivers it live, and he's been the main user of that over the years. But he contacted us. Which game was it? Game before, like,
He was old, yeah.
might have been old.
Yeah.
That he'd been put in contact with somehow, an organisation in Nottingham that sell kit for people with sight difficulties. And they've got like a virtual reality mask that, for the type of blindness that Dale's got, it in essence magnifies and concentrates and plays like a film on the front. So the first time in 64 years he saw a football match.
Oh, wow.
And it's believed to be the first time anybody's ever used that at a football match anywhere in the world.
Wow.
Not only did he watch it, he could identify numbers and faces.
Yeah.
And he's even one of the few witnesses come forward for the Oldham play.
Yeah.
I don't know the working court.
He's now training to be a referee.
Yeah. But it's absolutely brilliant. Yeah.
Is he a good defender?
But and it's just like a VR mask.
Yeah.
I've spoken to the people who sell it. I thought there were people who developed it, but it's been developed in Canada. But it's people who sell it. There are only people who sell it in the UK. It just concentrated, and it is magnified. Because I couldn't quite get my head around how it makes it work. But it's just massive magnification. And at the moment, the technology is you're meant to do when you sit down, so if you watch telly at home, it's not yet right for if you walk in, you can't walk through the streets with it or whatever. But fantastic, and it was just nice, even though it wasn't a club thing, it was a Dale thing. If the very first football match I ever watched by a blind person was here, it's just a great. And I've talked to the people who manufacture. I've talked to Dale, and I'm going to also. It's probably also to make the most of this loop system. There is a partially sighted charity in based in Derby, one in Chesterfield. It's something like Sight Derbyshire, so I can't quite remember exactly what.
Is that the one that's actually on St Margaret's
Yeah.
Drive, isn't it?
It's on bloody St Margaret's Drive. I couldn't believe it.
Well, so I'll flip it out.
I've been in there years. I've never noticed that before. I don't know how long they've been there. Probably since the club left. But yeah, they're on St Margaret's Drive. Absolutely right. So I've not made contact with them yet, but that'll be something that'd be great if we can get it.
Yeah, I think we want to publicise these things because it's I say it's not like I say come from the club, but it's a brilliant story.
Yes. And I've seen somewhere as well. I don't know. Well, it might have been by format. I can't quite remember now, but I've obviously not written it down. I've missed it. That somebody was asking somewhere. I know what it was. It was on one of the Facebook pages.
Oh, right, yeah.
That's right. About they want to bring their youngster who's a bit autistic and worried about the noise a little bit and everything. And I did say contact you, and I've got to make contact.
They have already.
Yeah, on that. So, because it's just what the options it might. The doctor's exam, it might be sitting top corner of the north stand where there's nobody else around or whatever.
It's becoming more difficult because of the crowds we're
Yes,
getting.
I know.
But it's we'll try and do what we can for anybody with whatever kind of disabilities, and there's a lot of. I get a lot of messages, and you do what you can, and most of them you can sort out. And people, even some people that have had long-term disability are surprised when you offer them the personal assistant care ticket, which is the law, effectively. Really, that's the only reasonable adjustment you can do. And people, so you think, how many other places aren't?
Lots.
Somebody really,
Lots.
Yeah. So basically, you say, well, if I had somebody whose father is in a wheelchair, he's going to one sticks, or you to one sticks. You go his care, you have a complimentary ticket. What do you mean? It's just that,
Just put it in, you put it in my name, so whoever comes with me, comes with me.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know whether you've got tickets for Ebbsfleet. We're still not.
But no, still not going.
Right. We tried today. It's virtually impossible.
I phoned up because there was nothing about disabled
On website.
So I phoned up, she told me I couldn't do it, I had to go back onto the website, order tickets from there. It's
There's nothing on the website.
under home fans, it's disabled, OAP, no, I shouldn't say OAPs, whatever, concessions,
Not sure
students.
we got to say these days.
But on away fans, there's nothing about disabled.
So you found
So I phoned back again. So I had to read what tell her again, I've seen it was if I was telling fibs, and then somebody else, I could hear him in the background saying, yeah, that's right, that's what we got on. So I had to email again, or Zoe had to email. And we've not heard
Tell her
from them
what,
since.
what tickets we wanted, but they've never emailed.
Well, on the first match in the National League when we played there, I rang up like you did, and they said, "Oh, we've only got 3 places," and I think they'd already got you, Dave, and somebody else had probably got them, and three places. I said, "How many own ones they got?" They got about 3 own ones or something like that. And I said, "Well, you're supposed to give up 1% of your capacity, Claude." And he said, "So you're telling," and he was the chief executive. So you're telling me at Chesterfield's new ground they've got 100 places for wheelchairs? I said, "I actually think it's 114, but I'm not entirely sure." And he just shut up and didn't say at that point. But he wouldn't sell a ticket. So we used our plan B that we had at the time. I rang up John Crew and I said, "Are you going to actually?" "Yes." "Have you got a +1?" "No." And Sylvia's made a +1.
Yeah.
So she went there. They managed to sort her out in the posh seats. She didn't buy a ticket, which she would have bought, and they fed her. And when I went and had a look round what the facilities were, whilst the facilities weren't great, there were loads of room where wheelchairs could have gone, because they got that old stand and you could have got in front of it, and there were no railing issues. So they got loads of space if they just actually knew what they were talking about. They just said the Forest Green when we went there. Said, there's a problem with the concrete around it. I said, "So you're telling me if there's a problem on the concrete on the normal terrace, where normal people site, you wouldn't fix it?" Anyway, they found other seats as well.
That one, Forest Green, we met somebody who were going in and they started
You
talking
do
to
it,
Zoe,
yeah.
and they said, "Come with us and we'll
Yeah,
sit
yeah,
behind
yeah,
fans,"
yeah,
so
yeah,
we were
yeah.
looked after.
But now,
Forest
so
Green, but not we are fans.
we're waiting for, see if we get tickets or not.
Well, the thing is there, the view's all right, even in the ordinary area. Actually, because you went
Well,
before.
oh, yeah, because it was red up there.
Yeah, it was a red up. Yeah.
Yeah, because Zoe fainted,
Okay.
didn't we?
That was where we won. Is that what I meant?
Nice penalty, yeah.
Yeah.
We draw the next 12 games.
No, we won the first 3, and then we were unbeaten for 12, and no wins for 12, depending on whether you were Martin Allen or not.
Yeah, everything went all right until we went to Barrow.
Yeah.
One thing I
Some
did
wage
have
boy.
a chat to Marcy about it the other day, and Marcy said it can't be done. And I still think to make some money at this ground, they should have chip butties. And they don't have to be chip fryers because they're nearly all oven chips. And they were selling them, I took notice at Altrincham, £4 for a chip butty, and nearly every Chesterfield fan had a chip butty.
Microwaves. Can you get microwave chips?
Microwave
Do they
chips,
have
you
that?
can, but oven chips are a lot cheaper, because you can get
Yeah, you
big
can't have
bags
ovens.
of.
That's the trouble. So
Even
they have
at
to be microwave
Boston,
chips.
they had oven chips, chip butty.
Forest Green got massive industrial air fryers, haven't they?
Forest Green.
It's all altered
Altrincham,
over, I
no,
mean,
they haven't, they're
we
only
went
on a
round
little
half an hour
van.
before kick-off, and the queue for food was constant throughout the entire game, and they were still selling after final
Yeah.
whistle as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
true,
right.
we were stood
As you
there.
were going out, you could buy stuff on the way out.
It's
Although
not
they
place
took
somewhere.
it, although lids off of blooming bottles.
Look at that, the view on there's
A
your
lot
legs.
do that still.
No,
Nice.
it's not just his legs, it's the full screen. It was just so I could see the.
Okay, let's call a formal end to that. I'm not going, so if anybody wants to stay for 5 minutes and chat, that's fine, but thank you very much for attending. First Thursday of next month as normal, and then next we'll organise for the committee members, we'll organise the committee one for an appropriate.
Is it advertised, where do you
Not this
put
week,
this?
This is on the club, sorry?
Not this Saturday.
No, we're away. Oh, no, we're not. No, it's not this Saturday.
We're not booked.
No, it's not. No. It's not, it's technically every 2 months, the committee one, or there or thereabouts, but no, it's not,
It's on Chesterfield. website.
Chesterfield website, yeah, and I put it on Facebook a little bit, so.
We say we've not seen it on
It was
Facebook.
on-
have we?
It was on
Yeah.
the,
I know
it was on,
they put it out yesterday.
yeah, Nick
Nick put it out
had
yesterday.
forgot.
Yeah.
I asked him to put it out on Tuesday.
The same.
Oh, when are the elections for new supporters forum members?
I don't know, we've got the rules, we've made the rules, I can't remember what they are.
Yeah.
So, the answer is I can't remember. I think we said a third were up after a year, a third up after 2 years, a third up after 3 years, something like that.
Yeah,
wouldn't it?
End of the day, I thought shouting, on Bob's board and that last time, I mean, none of those that were complaining about it actually put themselves up to be members anyway.
And it's working, isn't it? Because we're beginning to see.
Well, today, when Paul sent that yesterday or whatever it was, or this morning, whenever he sent it, to me, that's the most important thing of all. That on two big issues, the club are setting up a working group. Now, they're not solving it, they might do nothing, but they've taken.
And as the bloke who takes the minutes at the board meetings, was discussed.
Talked about
And Paul has a section on fan engagement, and it was in there, and they do, the easy hits, the easy things will happen straight away. Things like the menus on the concourse, that's going to be a bigger thing, because what it is at the moment, if we have longer half time, we sell more stuff, because we're selling as much as you physically can sell at record numbers, and John got criticised for sort of saying something the last time, but anything we change will cost the club money. It's either, or the price is too high. Now, what they did
There's an easy solution on that, but then lose the money,
But one of the things they did was they looked, because you can't compare sausage rolls, because you're open for 2 hours a fortnight, as opposed to 24/7 across there. What you can compare is the alcohol prices. For Madrid, we were lower than local clubs, which nobody said, "Can you put your price on, please? You're a bit too cheap." All the others were roughly the same, but Madrid was actually lower, which I don't know this stuff, so
I should think that.
yeah. But no, it's just interesting, because they have actually looked at that side of it, and they were quite shocked. Now, whether the prices are going up as a result of people complaining, we'll see.
Well, I'm going to, for the first time in November, going to Madrid for a couple of days, so I'll go and see if there's any of them Madrid, which is of course brewed in Tadcaster. Spanish style Madrid lager from Tadcaster.
Yeah. Same as Mythos, Greek national beer, full of Brewery London.
So when Real Betis were here, they all went in, they had food upstairs afterwards, or they had food provided, and they went upstairs to eat it, because they sort of worked out, having been here once before, that you can't actually eat them. When you've got 35 in your squad, you can't eat in the dressing room, because you only see 18 people down there.
Yeah.
So they went upstairs, and they said, "Oh, aren't you opening the bar?" This was their management, opened the bar, and all the players went to have Madrid. And they didn't complain, so well, you couldn't see our players going up there and opening the bar for them, but but then of course we had to stop them smoking in the tunnel then.
Oh, right. Well, I don't know what it's like here for smoking in the toilets, because obviously I don't get around, but I went to Liverpool v Darmstadt at Preston friendly a few weeks ago. I know there's more people in mainland Europe smoke per head than in the UK, but bloody hell, the toilets were absolutely packed with smoking Germans. There were millions of them. I couldn't believe it.
Were it smoking Germans, or were it Germans that were smoking?
Because I was in with the Darmstadt family. Because I went to talk, bloody hell, there's a lot of people in here, flipping heck. And then all of a sudden, there was no urinals being used whatsoever. So I thought, what's going on in your desk? Oh, they're all smoking. And the stewards outside, there were blockers who weren't letting this, who were continually trying to make it difficult for the stewards to get in while they all had a. But there must have been 30 people in the toilet having a bag. So, and that also, and I'm sure this happens here, but because in Germany, of course, they used to be able to drink during the match in view of the pitch. And I think they're probably surprised when they can't do that here. They all bought a bottle of pop, empty pop out, but ties any type of colour and put beer in the bottle.
Go back to Salford Gate, we had a player who used to smoke on pitch in games. John Osborne.
Yeah. I've just been talking to Chris Marples earlier on, and he was sort of saying one time when he was on the bench at York City, something, the manager sort of said to the sub, you know, go and get warmed up. So first thing he did was have a fag. And just ran down and came on and saw the fag out, went on.
Yeah, Bob Newton did it once or twice in breaks in play at away games, just ran over top. The town fans and give it a try.
Well, when North Derbyshire Health sponsored Chesterfield, it was supposedly a no smoking club, but Marks used to still smoke, and after the match he used to come up to the press box and sit with me and have a fag in the wooden stand. And secrete away around there. So, you know, if you want the weed, you find a way to have it, don't you? So.
But we've just been to Norway and Sweden, and we saw one person smoking all the time we were there. Yeah, and there were no litter on the floor whatsoever. Nothing. We didn't see any litter bins either, so they must just take it over.
And I've got a different attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
I just been to Jamaica and they take smoking to a new level. Funniest thing, we were in the hotel and there were two young lads who were Americans and big in the late teens, and they rolled this joint. It was about this long, and one guy smoking and others supporting him.
Dear me.
Getting offered it straight off of the plane as you go
Oh,
out
yeah,
to buses.
Oh, there were plenty of German fans smoking in the stand as well,
yeah.
but they were very good at hiding it, because I suspect they're probably not allowed to smoke in the stand.
Yeah.
So they're just skilled at being able to hide it.
Well, there's a bloke that sits a few rows in front of me that's vapes all the time, and the stewards just look at him and just carry on.
One of the friendlies vaping in the director's box behind their tie. Couldn't work out what they were doing. They were going to go off from a mask because they thought they were just trying to cover their mouth.
Was it the Chef Wednesday jokes?
Yeah.
I believe
funnily
dugouts being
enough,
repaired.
Like, what? That's it.
Yeah, funnily enough, I was going to go, I saw him, and I was going to go and thank him for Drew's match, thank him for that. And I saw him like this, and I thought, oh, but he must.
We couldn't work out. We've got the camera. I couldn't work out what we were doing. He's really good at it.
Yeah.
So I thought, anyway, I left it 5 minutes. I came back, it's exactly the same. I thought, is he trying not to be recognised? And I was, he was sitting there. He was on the end of the row. He was on the first seat, wasn't he? And I was standing as close as I am to Marcia, and I couldn't see the tickets.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was good at it.
It's very, very good.
They've repaired the accident that happened with the Sheffield United manager, haven't they? The dugouts being.
I don't know. I mean, I would hope that.
I hope so.
Yeah.
You should have sent him the bill. Petulant.
Yeah, I know, and he's not like that. He's not that sort of bloke, actually.
For a friendly as
Yeah, for
well.
friendly, yeah.
That's not what he is it?
No, he ain't.
Well, I'd assumed it was after the bad tackle. He'd done it, but it was after they missed an easy chance.
Yeah.
It was,
No, he's a decent bloke. He really is a decent bloke.
Yeah, he put his fist through the elbow, yeah. Smashed it.
Taz actually took some replacing him, hadn't he, to get the.
Yeah, keep
Right.
it cool. Make it right there.
Right.
We
all
All right,
done?
thanks, guys.
Thank you very much, well done.
Oh, cheers.
End stream.
I had a shock a couple of weeks ago, Pete. I'm only missing 3 programmes.